Welcome to DC Economics. So today I'm going to take you through price discrimination. Price discrimination is the practice of charging different prices from different consumers for the same goods and services. You may define also price discrimination as a price strategy that charges customers varying prices for goods and services based on the customer will agree to pay. So different people are charging different prices. Different individuals are charging different prices, regardless respectively to what as the seller has divided the range of prices into some groups or individuals. For example, the product or service may be a different price for adult versus senior citizens, or sometimes domestic buyer versus international buyers. The point of doing so is a seller that can capture the consumer surplus. What you need to understand, sellers apply price discrimination because the intention of a seller is to maximize profit. Their goal is the price discrimination is to generate the most revenue possible for the products or services that they offer. When sellers go about price discrimination, they look at the type of market their products or service is in. For instance, if it is within an inelastic market, the demand will change when the price changes. So the sellers may apply discrimination in the type of an elastic market by knowing that any additional price or an additional unit of price may actually not lead to any changes for their consumers on the purchases of different goods and services. So under an elastic demand, when the price changes at any amount, the quantity demanded does not change at the big amount. Under price discrimination condition is where the maximum output is achieved when marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. And marginal cost is equal to average total cost. So if the marginal cost of a product or services comes from the across all the markets, as you observe. So the graphs of marginal revenue cut across and the average revenue, the point where the marginal revenue cut the marginal cost is where the maximum output occurs. So any changes of prices does not actually lead to greater changes of quantity demanded. Any change of price under elastic market leads to greater change of quantity demanded. So if the price shifts, also the quantity of output may shift. So under elastic market, price discrimination can be practiced. The settled price will be settled by seller for a greater obtainment of revenue and greater maximization of profit. This is quite different from what is known as an elastic demand. To what occurring to an elastic demand, actually any changes of price leads to smaller change of quantity demanded. So the seller knows the condition in elastic demand, so will set up the price that will be favorable, that it can attain more revenue, or it can make out what is known as a consumer surplus. It can make out what is known as a producer surplus. So in one way or another, this is quite different from what is known as an elastic market. So under an elastic market, this is quite different. When the price changes, there is only a small change in quantity demanded. So the seller whose intention is to have a producer surplus, to make a surplus, normally set a price that will be favorable. Offer to charge different consumers in different groups by looking on the inelastic market condition. You observe that we have the marginal cost, where cut the marginal revenue, where there is maximization of output, and this is the output level, as you can observe. So part B is what we call the an elastic. We call the elastic market demand, where we observe to have the marginal revenue and the average revenue. So this is the place where the points where the marginal revenue cut up the marginal cost is where the maximum of output occurs. So at this level here, as you can observe, elastic market demand, any changes in the price leads to greater changes in the quantity demanded. So under price discrimination, the seller normally manages to set up a price that will be favorable for him to make a surplus. And part C is a combined market whereby it includes mixture of both elastic and inelastic market. So consumer, the seller is aware and the consumer is aware on how he can make purchases, and the seller can sell those goods and services by managing the two price systems in the market. Let's come to types of price discrimination. There are almost three types of price discrimination. We have the first degree perfect price discrimination that occurs when the business charges maximum possible price for each unit consumed. And we have the second degree price discrimination occurs when the company charges different price for different quantities consumed, such as quantity discounts and bulk purchases. But also another types of price discrimination is what we call the third degree price discrimination. This occurs when the company charges different price to different consumer groups. For example, a theater may divide movies goers into the senior adults and children, each paying a different prices when see the same movie. So this is an example where the third degree actually occur. So the different consumer groups are charged different, depending on the certain services or an enjoyment someone is getting involved. Other examples of price discriminations include when a consumer purchases a airline ticket several months in advance, they will typically pay less than a consumer who produces a ticket for the same flight 2 days before. So this is because when the demand for a particular flight is high, airlines raise the ticket price as a response. So similar airlines will get passengers to pay more for added pegs, line, and leg room. Let's ask ourselves, when can companies successfully apply price discrimination? There are three conditions for price discrimination where a company can successfully apply. The first, that the company needs to have sufficient market power. Second, the company should identify differences in demand based on different conditions or customer segments. So these two conditions must be adhered by the company. Third one, the firm must have the ability to protect its products from being resold by one consumer group to another. So actually the three condition depicts that the firm must be a price maker. It should have separate markets, but also there should be different elasticity of demand. So this condition when are successfully made, now it is possible for a consumer to apply price discrimination. Now let's ask ourselves again, is price discrimination illegal? Actually, the word discrimination in price discrimination does not typically refer to something illegal or derogating in most cases. Instead, it refers to the firms being able to charge the price of the products or services dynamical as market condition changes, or different users different prices for similar services, or charging different users for different services. Neither practice violates any governments, neither practice violates any governments or state laws. It should become unlawful only if it creates or leads to a specific economic harm. Would consumers be better off if everybody paid the same price? The answer is no. In many cases, no. Different customer segments have different characteristics and different price points that they are willing to pay. So it is quite impossible to say that the consumer be better off if everybody paid the same price. This is because the customer segments have different characteristics and different prices. So if everything were paid that they say the average cost people, if everything were paid that they say the average at a range of cost, people with lower price points could never afford it. Likewise, those with higher income price points could afford it. So this is what is known as a market segmentation. So this is actual, we call it a market segmentation. So market segmentation, this refers to aggregate prospective buyers into groups or segments with common needs and who respond similar to the market actions. Market segmentation has got some four segmentation or types, include demographic, physiological, behavioral, and geographical segmentations. Economists have also identified market mechanisms whereby fixing static prices can lead to market inefficiency from both the supply and the demand side. For example, surge pricing for video shares apps allows those who most needs a car to bid for it, while those who can afford to work instead will. So after looking at that, let's come to advantage of price discriminations. Firms will be able to increase revenue, increase investment, lower price for some, and manage demand. So firms will be able to increase revenue since the producer set up a higher price that ensure him to attain high profit than a consumer. So, but also, so producer surplus can be achieved. Also, increase of investment. When an individual producer enable to attain higher profits, enable to increase investment as well. Let's come to disadvantage of price discriminations. Higher price, decline in consumer surplus, potential unfair administration cost, and predatory pricing. So higher price actually is a disadvantage since there are some who are favorable with the price and those who are not favorable with the price. But also surplus is used for consumers who are charged the higher price. Potential unfair, there is an affair between those who make purchases and be friendly with the price that is set in the market. Administration cost also is a problem, but also predatory price, the price that is set between competitors. In a way, they set up to achieve the higher profits, to make out a producer's surplus between what they actually do in their business competitive involvement. So thank you. This is EC Economics. Don't forget to subscribe and watch on other videos. Bye bye.